Hello there, it's Jan here from JB Crafts. I'm back today with a second tutorial for Mother's Day this year. So Mother's Day here in the UK is at the end of this month in March. I know over in the States it's a little bit later in the year. I believe it's in May. But obviously, these are ideas that you can put into practice for any occasion, really. They don't have to be Mother's Day. They can be, birthdays, just gifts, anything like that. You could turn it into a more masculine theme. So, yeah, just ideas for you to have a play around with. So, what I've done today, this is actually a design that I've had a while, but I'd got this idea in my head that I wanted to do a gift bag. Now I've got a couple of tutorials on the channel where you can actually make your own gift bag, but this one's a shop bought gift bag. They come in a pack. They are just literally brown paper bags. If I open this one up, you can see inside, you've got a really good space for a gift, maybe wrapped in tissue paper or something like that. And I know not everybody's into 3D construction. So rather than actually making the gift bag, I thought we'll just decorate it today with elements from a paper collection. Now, it can be absolutely any collection. This is quite an old one, and I really like the style. So I've dug this out of my stash. It is a Crafter's Companion collection, and it was called Vintage Lace many, many years ago. It's probably no longer available, but I know some of you may have it in your stash, just like I have, buried away in all the bits and pieces. So I went back through my collections and pulled out some of the dies, the papers particularly, and then I've added elements from my own stash to decorate it. So we're going to do something very similar to this today. I've chosen a different colour scheme today, but basically recreate the gift bag just to show you that, paper, you can actually decorate things that are shop bought. You don't have to be making the whole thing if that's not your thing. I've added a bit of lace and ribbon on here, and again, that's optional. You could use a piece of cardstock to go that. I always talk about when I'm working vertically, I like to cross it on the horizontal, but this could be a piece of cardstock, it could be an extra piece of paper, it could be a bit of washi tape. It doesn't have to be, fabric based with the lace and the ribbon. So lots and lots of different ways that you can change it. I've done I like my single paper flowers. They could be shop bought flowers. They could be, if you like, making your own foam flowers. So again, as I say, lots of opportunities to change it. If you were going to do this for one of the fellas in your life, you could change. I often go for stars instead of flowers, or you could add buttons in there, or cogs are a really nice one for a more masculine theme. So as I say, easily changeable and adaptable for many, many occasions. So this one just had a noble sentiment on here. We're going to add a Happy Mother's Day to the one that I'm going to make today. So let's get into that tutorial, and I'll talk you through some of the layers that I've created. So pop that one to one side, and I've got a pack of these. I've had them for a while now, and I think they come from one of the local, I want to say, pound shops or the dollar stores over in the States. You get a pack of about 5 of them, and the actual bag here is 8.5 by 7, and I think there were 5 in a pack, something like that. So they're actually, I think they're intended to be like little lunch, food bags. I know over in the States they often use the little brown paper bags for lunch bags, but yeah, they're great for this purpose. All that hard work of working out the measurements of your bag and getting it right is done for you. So I've got an 8.5 height by a 7-inch width that I am actually going to decorate now with detail, with the details. So I mentioned that this was an old Crafter's Companion collection. As I say, this one's been out a very long time, but I love the colour palette. Excuse me. Yeah, I love this colour palette on here. And this one was more leaning towards sort of that turquoisey element here. And then I've got some of the darker neutral colour in it. So yeah, you can see the background. I've got some of the patterned, got some of that neutral element. I've gone with a slightly different colourway for this one because obviously my paper pad had been well used when I was working for Crafter's Companion. But a really, really nice soft colour palette in this one. So I had a flick through and chose a couple of papers. I think I had this one, and I went for the plain one that went with it. So I like both of those two together, and that's what we're going to be working. So we're going to go more along this sort of teal blue side today. So I've prepared my mats and layers. You don't need to see me cutting all those out, but I have got some measurements for you. So my first layer then, on this one I used craft card as my matting cardstock, and I used the craft card for that first die cut, and I'll show you where these are from as well shortly. This time I've changed it to a combination of the teal and the craft card. So my first layer, I've just gone 1/4 of an inch increments. So we had an 8.5 inch bag. I've gone down to 8.25 inches for my blue layer, and it was 7 inches wide, so we've gone down to 6.75. So that was my blue layer, and yes, I have sort of taken the middle out so that I can use it for other things. And then the top layer then will be 1/4 of an inch smaller, so we'll have gone down to 8 inches by 6.5 inches for the paper. And all the neutral coloured paper, I've actually been round the edges. You know how much I love my inks. So that distressing vintage photo ink very rarely goes away. These stay out at the side of my desk. They're nearly always available to use. And I've just gone round the edge of the paper just to create that sort of like, almost like that vignette, which draws your eye into here a little bit more. So that's going to be my first layer. And then I wanted to break up that background with a smaller piece. So that was the pattern piece that I was talking about, and this one measures 7.5 by 3.5, and I've gone with the craft card for the mat, and the paper layer will be 7.25 by 3.25. And again, the other colours that weren't the neutral, I've just chosen a nice teal colour that matched my colour scheme, and I've been round the edge of the paper with that teal ink. So just to bring everything together and create that sort of cohesion between the two. So we're going to pop these together like so, and we've done that work on the vertical, and then I'm going to bring in some detail to go over the top. So let's just pop the bag to one side for a second, and the first thing I'm going to do is get this layer stuck down, and I'm going to stay flat for that one. You can add as much dimension to this as you wish. I'm going to bring in a little bit of dimension with my detailed layers that I created. So this one's going to go flat, and I'm going to use my all-purpose glue here. Paper to cardstock, cardstock to cardstock. This is my choice of glue. Okay, so that one's just going to sit with a nice even little border, top and bottom, and then just slightly in from this left-hand edge there, just so that we've got that little bit of interest to break up that background piece. Now the piece that I cut off the top of this length had another one of those gorgeous little butterflies on, so I've actually cut that out, and we're going to use this as an embellishment. I've just popped a couple of little pearls in there, and we're going to use this as an embellishment when we get into the card. And just talking of embellishments, I've just remembered that I need my glue gun on, so let me just plug that in while we're talking. I did think about it earlier, and then the thought went, oh, come on, don't play about now. Bear with me a second. There we go. Yeah, I did think about it, and then that thought obviously left as quick as it arrived. I don't know whether you guys can appreciate that. That's my world at the moment. I think of something, and then it disappears as fast as I've thought of it. So yeah, we'll pop that on to be warming up, and I'm going to stick some of the embellishments on with the hot glue today, because it's a nice, quick adhesive for when I'm filming. So that's my top layer, and then what I want to do is I want to bring those elements across. So I've got some teal seam binding ribbon that we're going to put across here, and I've also been in my lace drawer and pulled out a nice piece of neutral lace. So I'm just going to sort of layer these across here. I've marked roughly where I want them to be, and they're about, I think they're about 3.5, 3 3/4 inches up from the bottom of my panel, and that was sort of the bit that I landed at. So I'm going to pop the ribbon round. So I just need to mark roughly where I want that lace to go. So if I lay this down, and then I want to tuck that just underneath, I think. So my lace layer wants to go about there. So for the lace, I'm going to use a strip of the red line tape. You can use a glue if you wish. So I'm just going to run a line of tape from here across and just eyeball I think that's probably about straight. I'm just looking at those pencil marks that I'd already made. Just eyeball that and get that in place. And we're going to stick the lace down because I want the ribbon to overlap the top of the lace. So we'll take the liner off there and then just stretch this across here. And I'm just going to stick that top edge, sort of looking roughly where get the ribbon centered, and then stick that down to that tape. And then I'll just double check that my eyes are working. So 3 1/4 inches, 3 1/4 inches, perfect. Okay, now I may wrap that round the back. I think we will, yeah. I've already put some red line tape on the back here to remind me to do the ribbon, because I'm a dab hand at getting giddy and getting going and forgetting all about it. So I think we'll just catch that. I'm just going to use a little bit of my dot runner there to catch that lace, and then we'll add the ribbon layer over the top. There's not too much bulk there to stop it sticking down when we stick it to the bag. So we'll get rid of any excess there. And we've got that layer good to go. And then what I want to do is actually do this one and pop it so that it's just overlapping a little bit. So I'm going to go a little bit higher up there, I think. And just to keep it stable, we're going to put a lot of work on this side here. So just to keep it stable while I wrap it round, I'm just going to put a little tiny piece of my tape again. And we're going to have that lovely sort of set of frame dies. So I'm just going to put a piece under here so that I can anchor the ribbon, and then it can wrap around the back again. Yeah. So yeah, we're going to go literally across about there and just anchor that down, and then I can wrap this around the back and stick it to my tape that I'd already got prepared. So there's just a little bit of that lace peeking out from underneath, and we're pretty much good to go there. I'm quite happy with that. And then from the ribbon, I've created a bow that we're going to use on here as an extra once I've got my layers in place. So I think the next thing we'll do is get this one stuck to the bag now, because that's done that cross piece. So again, using that same glue, we can pop this on the back and then get that sealed onto the gift bag. So quite a liberal coating on there, because if this is going to be a gift bag, it's going to be open, closed, and you know, things put inside it. So I don't want anything to come apart there. So that's going to stick on there. Apply a little bit of pressure to spread that glue out. And I always keep one hand in place. It has moved a little bit, but that's the beauty of having the wet glue. We can just wriggle it back into place there. And we'll leave that to dry. So we'll pop the old block on there for a minute while I talk about some of the extra die cut layers and put that to one side. So the same collection had some beautiful, beautiful frame dies in it. So I went through my stash, and I've taken a lot of things out of the packaging. I've just cut it down so that it fits in my storage. But again, vintage lace. This was the Rococo frames. And then there was a second set that was the Baroque frame. So we've got a rectangle based frame and an oval based frame, and I've layered these up together. So I took the largest one. This is going to fit nicely. If I show you this one again now, this is the one that's in the background here. And then you get lots of different layers with it. So by using the inside layer, if you want just a frame, this allowed you to cut out the inside piece as well. But I didn't want that. I wanted this flat. Okay, so I've cut this out of some craft card in its entirety. And then I use the internal part to cut another piece of that paper. So you can see here we've got that perfect sort of layer to fit inside, and this was a scrap that was left over from that background piece that we used on the back of the bag. So that's my first layer, and again I've been round these neutral layers with that vintage photo ink, so I went round the edge of the frame and the edge of the paper with that one. That's going to be my first layer. I'll just pop that to one side, and then I moved over to the oval frame and we're going to layer that on top. So pop that one away. So we took this one then and I cut this in the turquoise. Okay, we've got that in the turquoise. I've got some foam tape on the back ready, and then once I'd cut that one, I've taken this is a lovely little die, creates the oval, but it's got all the little holes punched in it, so you get this lovely decorative edge around there. I think there's one trying to hide in there. I can just see it. Look, you thought you'd got away from me. There we go. And I've inked that with the turquoise ink again to match the panel that we put on the front. So these are going to layer nicely then together, and you can see a little bit of both. And then I've just stamped a general sentiment on here, and we're going to add a Happy Mother's Day as well on this one. So that's my dies. We've done the die cutting there. I did that in advance because I don't want the video to be massive in length, and most of you know how to use the die cutting machines that we all love. So yeah, let's pop that one back again. So this is going to go like so, and then we're going to decorate with loads of flowers. And again, these two again never go away. These are again a crafter's companion. They came in a set many years ago, and I actually had two of them. I bought two of them because, you know, when you're making flowers, being able to cut more than one set at once, it gives you you know, so much scope. So I've actually cut these out of the scraps that were left over, and you get 5 sizes of flower, and I've cut those in the neutral colour, which was the background paper, and then I also cut them out of some of the pattern paper that we did on the top layer. Ink the edges with the respective inks, and then I've added some pearl centres, and then that was that little butterfly that I talked about at the beginning that I'd cut out from the pattern paper. So these are going to be my embellishments that we're going to use the hot glue for. Right, so let's have a look. We'll bring that bag back in. We'll get rid of the block now, and let's get these in place. So the first one is going to go offset, and I'm going to go with the centre of the design here against this edge of the matte layer underneath. Okay, now because we're going over all the different fabrics, I'm going to put a layer of red line tape just to help it stick, and I've run out of my wide one, so I need to get some more of that, so that's why I'm using the slightly narrower one. And then I'm going to use the glue as well, but just to make sure that everything adheres to these elements, give it a little bit of a helping hand. I've not found anything yet that the red line tape doesn't stick to. I once remember mending my shoes when I was at work. The heel section had come apart from the bed, put some red line tape in there and it worked. Tried it on all sorts of things. So yeah, we'll just add a little bit of glue down the sides for extra measure. And like I said, I'm going to use the centre of the frame, and then I'm eyeballing about the same distance from the top to the bottom of that panel, and we'll get that one in place. So by using pattern papers, you know, you've got all those extra bits. If I was making an ink background, you know, there's a little bit of text on here that I may have stamped on it. You've seen me do that before. There is actually this, with it being vintage lace, there was lots of, I don't know whether you can see them in the background, there's like doily prints, and there's a slight little bit in here to bring it all together. So yeah, you know, if you want to use your inks, you can create backgrounds that way and add little bits to it. But I love the papers in this collection, and to be honest, it's been nice to be able to get some of those older papers out. I've got so much paper, it's unreal. So just using them like this and keeping it more of a paper project rather than a construction project, I thought it'll just give those of you that aren't so keen on building construction 3D items a little bit of a chance. So this one again, I'm going to use that central line here to line up the centre of this one, and then just pop that in a position like so. So that's got a little bit of tape on there, and that's the only bit on here so far that's raised. Okay, and then we're going to bring all those accessories in. So we've got all those lovely flowers, we've got the butterfly, we have got the extra Mother's Day sentiment. So let me just pop these off here now. And I'm going to follow the layout that I did on the previous one. So I've just got that in front of me. Get rid of that. And then I've created a Happy Mother's Day, which I think, I'm not quite decided yet. We'll have a look at it when we've got all the flowers in place. But my glue should be about ready now. So as I say, I'm just going to follow the design that I did on the last one, and the glue just allows me to get those in place nice and quickly. So I'm going to go from the top with the neutral one, like so. Then I'm going to bring the second size of the blue into the middle there and just overlap them a little bit. And then I'm going to go for the third size in the neutral and bring those round just as a little trio. I like the sets of 3. And then I'm going to do the same on this corner, but we're going to start with the largest blue one. And we're going to come back round this bottom corner so that we've got that opposite. So then we've got the next one in the neutral. And then we've got the next one down in the blue again. So just bringing them round that corner, just tucking them underneath each other, and we've now got that matching set. And then the ones that are left I'm going to bring onto the actual design. So we've got the next one in the blue. I'm just going to bring down here with the smallest one. I'm just going to get my tweezers because that one's very small and I do not want hot glue on my fingers. And then we're going to put this one just on here, and then I'm going to do the same up at the top and just sort of echo that space here with the 2 that are left. So we've got those 2, that little tiny one like so. So we've got these 2 sort of creating the detail here, and these 2 bringing your eye into that middle frame. And then I've got my butterfly left and my Happy Mother's Day, and we've got the bow as well. So let's get the bow in place because we know that that's going to go onto the ribbon. So that one is going to go on here like so, and just overlap and bring everything together. Yep. And then sending warmest wishes. And then it's a case of just having, you know, sort of auditioning where you want this one to go. And I don't think I want to cover up the design here. I think I'm going to bring it down to the bottom like so. And then this other butterfly possibly on the top there. And that's going to mirror the one that's at that side. Yeah, I kind of quite like that. So I've put some foam tape on the back of the greeting here. And then I'm just going to bring that, and I'm going to pop it slightly over the frame to just join everything together rather than it just be floating around on the bottom on its own. I'm just going to bring it over the edge of the frame here, and then it just brings everything together rather than looking as if it was just stuck on as an afterthought. And then the butterfly, I think he's going to be more visible, yeah, at that side there. So again, it's about that sort of, you know, thinking about where you're placing things and having a think about how it affects the rest of the card. So we've got these doing the job on the outside frame. We've got these doing the job on the inside frame. And then I've got my extra sentiment and the butterfly now complementing each other on opposite corners there. We've got that vertical design with the horizontal breaking it up. And I'm quite happy with that. Now, the only other thing that I pulled out was I did wonder, I've got loads of metal embellishments here, and I did wonder whether to pop this just around, and again, you know, it was just an extra thought at the end. I'm just going to pop it around one of the handles and just tie it loosely on there, just to add a bit more interest with it being a gift bag for Mother's Day and it just being a little bit more special. So yeah, using up the stash, which is what the channel is all about. Get delving in that stash and see what you've got in there. And then we'll leave some of the tails on there, but they don't need to be quite that long, I don't think. So my little bow just wants straightening out there. And then we'll leave these a decent length, but not too long, I don't think. And just adding that extra little bit of detail in there. So that's my gift bag. That's my recreation of that original gift bag. Put that over there. And again, as I say, these open up and you've got quite a nice space inside there, you know, for a good gift. And they are quite strong. To say that they're only made of brown paper, they are actually quite strong. If it was something heavy, you could always pop another piece of cardstock inside just to help with the weight on the bottom. And you can also decorate the back. I don't usually bother with the backs of them. I like to just have the detail on the front, but you could actually pop some detail on the back, especially, you know, if you're cutting into a piece of pattern paper like I did from a 12 by 12, you might have enough to do both sides. Absolutely fine. But that's my sort of stronger version of it. The original version was a bit more pastel coloured. And then we've got that slightly stronger version of it. So with that teal in there. So yeah, do you have a favourite again? I know lots of you commented on the last one about my dilemma with the edges and the OCD, saying that it had to be straight. It was really interesting reading the comments on there. But yeah, do you have a preference to the more pastel shades, or do you like the one with the more bold colours in? So very, very similar designs. Using this as my inspiration for today's project, and that's the one that we've just made together. I just added some extra little pearls here. And again, I've put one on the outside panel and one set on the inside panel. And again, all sort of, just all that cohesion, bringing everything together. You know, so again, I could have some up here and I could have some across the bottom if I wanted to. So that's my design for today. Hope you've enjoyed that one. As I say, nice and simple if you're not into constructing your own 3D projects. Dig out those paper collections, dig out those flower dies and the frames and have a go. And again, like I said, doesn't have to be for Mother's Day. It could be for any occasion. So if you've enjoyed the tutorial today, please give it a thumbs up for me. It does help tremendously with the channel. Absolutely love the support that you guys are offering for the channel, and I'll be back very soon with a new tutorial for you. So enjoy the rest of your day and I'll see you soon. Bye bye now.